Hey everybody, it is Nathan, Blake, and Sylvia with another episode of Service Dog Tales. I'm surrounded by service dogs. Today's tale is one that I've been waiting until Sylvia retires in order to tell the world, and now that Sylvia's retired, here you go. In other videos, I've talked about how when service dogs are off duty, they're usually regular dogs, and these particular dogs are pretty crazy dogs. Once their vest is off, all bets are off. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're badly behaved when their vests are off, but they're definitely not behaved like service dogs. And sometimes when they're off vest, they see an animal that they want to chase after. And they don't think about the repercussions of doing so. So Jess, Sylvia, and I were at our local drive-in, and I believe we were there watching the third Star Trek. For those of you that don't know what a drive-in is, Google it, millennial. The thing about this drive-in is that it's dog-friendly. So we figured that we could be a little bit more lax with the regular service dog rules while we were there, so we didn't have Sylvia in her vest, which in hindsight was a big mistake. So the three of us were in the trunk of the car watching the movie, and we had borrowed my mom's car because she has one of those cars where you can pull the seats back and kind of make a little nest in the trunk. And Sylvia was off vest, and we were right next to a forest. All of a sudden, this animal runs out of the woods, and Sylvia sees it. Now, Sylvia is a very well-behaved dog, and a very well-behaved service dog, or retired service dog, but she's also still a dog. And she was off vest. So when she saw this animal, she kind of just bolted. She pulled the leash right out of my hand, and I got up and started running after her as fast as I possibly could. I was able to catch her when she got to the forest line, and I grabbed her leash and tried to get her back to the car as fast as I possibly could so as not to attract attention. And we got to the car, and she jumped into it right on top of Jess. And that's when we started smelling it. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a pet sprayed by a skunk, or if you've ever been sprayed by a skunk yourself, but it smells kind of like burnt popcorn mixed with rancid vegetable oil. And now, it was all over the inside of the car, all over Jess, and all over Sylvia, and all over me. Due to my frustration and the sensory overload of the smell, that was the night that Jess witnessed her first autistic meltdown. Now, it was partially my fault. I shouldn't have had her off vest, and I should have had a better grip of her leash, so I tried to make sure that I didn't direct the meltdown at Jess or Sylvia. And the thing is, this was not actually the first time that she had been sprayed by a skunk, because we live out in the country, and we have an invisible fence around a very large property, some of which includes woods, and when she's off vest, she basically gets free rein. And for some reason, no matter how many times she gets sprayed in the face by a skunk, she has not learned to stay away from black and white creatures. Now, she's never trying to harm them, she's trying to play with them. And apparently they don't want to play with her. Anyways, we were sitting in the car with our skunked dog, our skunked car, and our skunked selves. And I looked at Jess, and she kind of looked at me, and I was like, yeah, we need to go home, don't we? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, nonverbal. And we got back to my parents' house, and we were not in a good headspace to figure out what to do next. So I woke up my parents at the age of 21. At 1 o'clock at night. And I was just like, Mom, Dad, Sylvia got skunked and I don't know what to do. And I'd like to give a shout out to my parents in this video. I know y'all are watching. I really appreciate everything you did for us that night. And Mom, sorry I skunked up your car. So we drenched Sylvia in this anti-skunk shampoo, and we drenched Jess and me with hydrogen peroxide. It was just a bad night. I wasn't allowed to borrow Mom's car for like a year. It was so bad that we actually had to get Sylvia a new collar, which Jess begged me to do for months. So the moral of the story for me is just keep your dog's vest on. Don't take chances. For Sylvia, it's skunks don't want to play with you. And for Blake, you know, I'm not sure if she was born yet. Dogs are still dogs. And they sometimes do dumb dog stuff. And we gotta watch out for them. Well, that's today's video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this episode, give it a like, a share, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, check out some of my other stuff, and we will see you next week.